Okay. Colin Kaepernick decided not to stand up for the American flag. So, there's a few things that I heard about this. I was watching the NFL Network when they were talking about it, when they first had the interview with Sam Weish. And I think that's his name. I heard a lot of back and forth. And Heath Evans said something that I agree with, and then he kind of punted the football and made a major mistake in his conversation. He unequivocally hit it out of the park initially. And it sums up why I don't think this should be talked about. Colin Kaepernick is making a political statement. Fine, he's entitled to do that. There's a place to do it. Football is not it. I'm sorry, it's not. People aren't going to that game to watch you protest or spew your political opinions out onto the field. That's not why they're going there. They're going there for the exact opposite reason. They're trying to escape it. And I love that he said he wanted to bring awareness to the situation. There isn't anybody in America that isn't aware of the situation. People have different opinions on the matter, but you don't need to bring awareness to something that we're fully aware of, whether you stand on one side or the other. So here's what Heath Evans said. Heath Evans said, this isn't an argument you're going to win. You're not going to convince those that believe otherwise, and you're not going to convince those that feel the opposite of you or like you. I'm not going to win the argument saying he should or shouldn't stand up for the flag, and you're not going to win the argument saying that he should or that he shouldn't or should. It doesn't accomplish anything. Do I think he's genuine with his beliefs? Sure. Does he have the right to those beliefs? Absolutely. Do I agree with those beliefs? It's no one's business. What is a fat guy in Arizona sitting in front of a camera doing a generic, poorly budgeted LA Rams Central show really going to make an impact on because I say what I feel one way or the other? Here's how I feel about the issue. Not that issue, but in general. This has been my position with race for a long time. It's a non-starter. You can't have the conversation because you have some people on one side that don't believe racism exists. You got people on the other side that don't believe if you're a certain color, you're capable of being racist. You can't have the conversation. If neither side's willing to listen and compromise and genuinely feel for the other person's point of view and try to come up with solutions, which is something I haven't heard anybody bring to the table, what's it accomplish? You want to fight for one of these causes? Do it. Get on your horse and go champion the cause. I don't have an issue with that. Don't do it on a football field. You want to do it in the locker room when you're being interviewed? Fine. It's your choice as the fan to watch the locker room interview. I have no problem if an athlete is sitting down with another person and they're having a conversation and it comes up and they say what their side of the matter is. And they say what they feel. And if they want to go to certain events and fund certain campaigns that support the way they think, they're entitled to do it, whether it's my side of the aisle or not. But you don't do it on a football field. We've been dealing with this every day, and I love the attitude. Bring awareness to the situation. Dude, we're living it. We're in it all day long. Try being a teacher. You don't think this gets talked about? You don't think people have very strong opinions on both sides? And by the way, can articulate very well both sides. There are people that are very pro-police and people that are very pro-Black Lives Matter. And they can articulate very intelligently their points of view. The sad thing is when you listen to both points of views, you realize there is a lot of common ground there. But everybody wants to be right and nobody wants to listen to anybody else. And that's why I don't have the conversation. Because it's not a conversation. It's a shouting match. It's, I'm right, you're wrong, you're racist if you disagree with me. Or, you're a hypocrite if you disagree with me. Or you're this if you don't agree with me. It's not the place. People don't spend, by the way, Colin Kaepernick, a quarter of their monthly income to go to a game, because that's how much it costs for a family of 4. I know. Between the hotel, between the tickets, between the drive or plane, between the food, it ain't cheap. Especially on a teacher's salary. And I'm not spending that kind of money to have you make a political statement when I'm coming to this game for 2 very basic reasons. To escape out there and to watch my team. Not watch you. I love Todd Gurley. But I've been a Ram fan before him. And I'll be a Ram fan after him. We are not basketball fans. We do not root for players. We root for teams. And we like the players on our team, usually. You're part of it. Whether you want to be or not, you're a part of it. And there is a time and a place. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, guys. It doesn't matter. Because is there no place we can go where we can be unified one time? Just one time. I thought that was professional sports. I'm clearly wrong. I now have to deal with Democratic and Republican point of views, racial and non-racial point of views, political crap storms everywhere, and the one thing that used to unify this country, the last 25 years plus, unequivocally was sports. One time. One time I want a place where it's unified. Sports used to be a place everyone could go and be unified under one cause. Cheer their team. Sure, there'd be people in the stands that felt the other way, and you'd give them a hard time, and they give you a hard time, and it was all a part of the fun. But now, we can't even go to a football game without having the garbage that is the political environment. And it is garbage. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. The complete hypocritical points of view of the social justice movement and the absolute close-minded points of view of the anti-social justice movement now creeps on my football field. No friggin' thank you. NFL, you want to lose ticket sales in a hurry? You let that kind of garbage continue. So, that's my position on the Colin Kaepernick thing. I don't care what his position is. It doesn't belong on the football field. It doesn't belong on the football field. You want to do it in the locker room? You want to do it on a TV show? You want to do it on ESPN when you're being interviewed and you're being asked about your points of views or your theories or whatever they're asking that they ask athletes, they ask them everything. Fine, do it. Totally understandable. I have no reason to complain. But I know one thing. I'm smart enough to know, no matter how famous I could become, not a single person watching right now gives a flying frig, genuine flying frig, about my point of view on the issue. They don't. And if they do, it's only going to be to go, see, he agrees with me, while the rest of the world goes, who? Who's that guy? Like, what does it accomplish? Trust me. I have my points of view. But I respect the fans of this sport, the people that play this sport, those that cover this sport, enough to know this isn't my place. This isn't my sounding board. There are other places for that. And believe me, guys, I'm very pseudo-political. And I love a good debate, and I love having a conversation. This is LA Rams Central. This isn't CNN. This isn't Fox News. This isn't MSNBC. This isn't CBS. It's a YouTube show called LA Rams Central. So, Heath, you had it right. No one's going to win the argument. No one's going to win the argument. But here's how I would finish it. You can't have the conversation right now. Because, again, you have those that don't believe race exists, and you have those that don't believe they can be racist. And until those two things change, there's no reason to have the conversation. It's going to go nowhere. So let's talk sports. Second segment. LA Rams game against the Denver Broncos. You Bronco fans are probably wanting me to eat crow right now. We'll talk about it coming up next. All right. So should I eat crow? Huh? Come on, Bronco fans. You need to let me have it in the comment section, by the way. And don't worry. Guys, if you're a Ram fan, they kind of have the right to. So you can go ahead and have at me. Oh, Denver sucks. You suck. Rams suck. Bub. Have fun with it. Let me give you some good news here. Simeon, your quarterback, looked really good. And against a good defense. So, provided that your defense plays to the exact same level they did a year ago, I'll be wrong. Statistics are in my favor. That's not going to happen. And I remind everyone, with Case Keenum as the starting quarterback, I can't believe I'm saying this, the Rams were up 6-0. They were. Jared Goff led them up the field for the game-leading field goal. And then Denver kicked it at halftime. It was only 10-9 at half. So, let's not act like you blew us out of the water, okay? Had the starters stayed in, and this is a regular season game, folks, we'd be 3-0. But it's fantasy because it is preseason football. So, for Bronco fans, their defense played great against an improving offense. Trevor Siemian, I think is his name, looked great. Looks like it's the right decision to start him. So kudos to the Broncos organization. And kudos to that defense because they did play lights out. Didn't appreciate the cheap shot by Akeem Talib, but it's football. And you don't have to like it. I'll tell you why I like Akeem Talib. Because he plays on the edge. Akeem Talib could be a starting cornerback in the 1990s, in the 1980s, in the 1970s, and the 1960s. That dude is a beast. Love him or hate him, the man plays the game the same way no matter who he's playing against. And I respect that. And I don't take it personal when he cheap shots our team, because he cheap shots every team. Where I get exception is when you poke people in the eyes like you did last year, because you're getting beat. Suck it up, Buttercup. You're getting beat. That ain't cool. Saying that Cam Newton is sorry. I'm sorry, that just tickled me. I thought it was hilarious. The Super Bowl, look, Cam, he had every right to get upset. Because there's no doubt that the Broncos were doing that crap on purpose. Hey, if you're going to put up a sheet to separate me from the guys I just beat, and I know you can't do anything about it for what? What? Almost 6 months? And there was no guarantee they were going to play each other this year, I don't think. Maybe they knew the schedule. I loved it. I'm sorry, it tickles me pink. Look, Carolina, you got a chance to get even. You really do. Look, you got a chance to get even this week or week one, and I wait. I'm gonna watch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna watch that game, just because I want to see. I want to see how these guys go at it. So I have no issue with that. But there is a line you cross when you poke people in the eye because you're getting beat, and you're doing things after the whistle, well after the whistle. I understand doing things after the whistle when it's close. I understand hitting a guy when he's close to being out of bounds. I don't take issue with Akeem Talib and doing any of that. But there is a time and place, and there has been times Akeem has crossed the line. But let's not lie. Carolina, even Carolina, Los Angeles, admit it. Admit it, you take Akeem on your team today. Because he is a good ball player. So don't take offense to that. But, it wasn't a bad performance. So a lot of things Denver fans can pull away that they can be excited about. But there's a lot of things us Ram fans can be excited about, too, that we can pull away. Goff continued to show growth. That was a big check mark for me. What a great 2-minute drive, too. To get that team in field goal range and then end up getting them the game-winning field goal. D shut down Denver. First 3 series, or 2, whatever it was, punt. The Rams D was as good as advertised. Excuse me. The Rams D was good as advertised in that game. Loved what I saw. Higbee got targeted way more. In fact, news just broke. The Rams are going to try to incorporate Higbee more in the passing game. Duh. He needs to be a starter. I stand by that. He needs to be a starter. Spruce on the loose. I guess he must still be injured from the Dallas game because I ain't seen him. And maybe I missed him in the game. I know my kid was going crazy. Well, actually, no, that was after I put the kid to bed. So I was pretty tired, though. So I know a couple times I had to do some, man chores around the house while the game was going on. So I might have missed it, but I don't think he played. Legatron made a key kick. That field goal that gave the Rams the lead, he was 3 for 3. He made all his kicks. I said, Legatron making a key kick or 2. Well, he made 3. So it was good to see his mojo kind of get back. I thought the Saints looked good. Pittsburgh looked better. Indianapolis, I thought, looked okay. A little concerned for my Indy pick, so I may change that. Just so y'all know. That may change. Houston, though, oh my goodness. Whew, do they look good? They look like a team that's going to be the number 1 team in the AFC, right? These are things I was looking at. I was pleased. I was pleased with the Rams. I was really pleased with some performance that I saw from some players, not just on our team but on other teams. And I thought the Rams looked great. I think there's definitely I definitely think there's optimism. So, Anthony, what are you looking for in week 4 of the preseason? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Everyone plays on Thursday. Guys, take the week off. Watch college football. It's coming up. Get yourself ready. If you happen to be around the TV, watch it. But you really aren't going to get a whole heck of a lot. Now, if Higbee and Spruce play a lot, I'll keep watching as long as they're playing. I'll take a look at some of their other receivers because I've had a couple people comment on one of the other Rams wide receivers that they picked up. He's a really big target. A lot of people are high on him. I think it's Williams. Might be wrong on that. And I definitely want to continue to see Malcolm Brown run like the beast he is. So see what kind of growth we have in the secondary and what kind of play we have there. I mean, there's a few things I guess you could look for if you really want to, but ultimately none of it's going to matter. Half of these guys that are going to play Thursday, they're not going to make the team. And the other half that does, a quarter of those guys or half of those guys are going to be practice squatters. The other half will be special teams contributors, so you want to make sure that they can make good tackles. And that goes for anyone's team out there. But if you're a Saints fan, your team it looks like they're better. If you're a Colts fan, they look good at times. They did. But that Baltimore game was kind of rough. Maybe it was just not continuity, but they looked really rugged. And I don't think Baltimore looked particularly well either. It was just not a well-played game between the two teams. So who knows? Maybe that's not a sign of things to come at all. Houston, though, looked phenomenal. Brock Osweiler looks like the real deal. And with that team that he's got around him, man, he's going to be... Will Fuller. Man, that guy has speed to burn. So, there's some positives. There are some positives. So, for those teams, if you're a fan of those teams, I'm going to talk a little bit about the injury thing because that's another thing that came up. That's going to be my final segment. Extending preseason, not. I'll talk a little bit about that in the final segment, and that'll wrap up the show. So, good to talk about football. Good to talk about real football issues. Not that those issues that we mentioned in the top of the show aren't real issues, but sometimes people just need to escape real life for a little bit. That's what football is all about. All right, third and final segment. So John Harbaugh, went off saying that the NFL should have no preseason games. Then, said later that he knows that's an extreme point of view. Reduce it to 2. Let them play 2 more games in the NFL. They've done it before. I've heard all these arguments. They've done it before. The NFL was once 6 preseason games, and they reduced it to 4 and added 2 regular season games, which is why we have the 16-game schedule. Blah, 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 blah. He also said that there's a better way to evaluate the talent than games. I am going to speak here from experience. Okay? I have either played the game of football or coached the game of football for 25 of my years. That is more than 3/4 of my lifetime. So I am not talking out of my butthole on this issue. What the hell are you talking about, John? There is no better way to evaluate talent than live competition. There is no scrimmage you can orchestrate as a coach, whether it's against another team or not. Then turn it on the lights, strap it on the helmet, in front of the fan base, for real. Even in a scrimmage, you can't duplicate it because you're not going the same speed. How many times have we heard over the years that the game changes from college, from high school to college, from college to pro, and from practice to game time? And you want to take that away. Fun fact, fewer injuries this year than there's ever been in a preseason game that I can remember in the last decade. Now, some coaches are playing things close to the vest. Other coaches aren't. But guys, what's the real problem here? Could the real problem be that athletes are playing 4 years on artificial turf in high school? High school. Artificial turf. Really? 4 years of high school on artificial turf. 4 years of college on artificial turf. And then their entire pro career on artificial turf. I bet you a lot of the knee injuries have to do with that. And I don't care what you make the turf out of. It's still concrete. There's a reason athletes, since the inception of turf, prefer grass. There is give. It is dirt. It is mud. It is soil. It is not rubber with pellets. I don't care how synthetic you try to make it. But you know what the reality is? Is that wouldn't have eliminated some of these injuries like what happened to Watson for Baltimore. And I think the Baltimore Colt game, which I said earlier, I think that was 2 weeks ago. Indy didn't play Baltimore this week. I don't think they did. I thought they played Buffalo. Anyway, I got the preseason games mixed up. I'll be fine for the regular season. But the bottom line is, these injuries are not happening because they're playing a preseason game. Injuries, and every coach will tell you this, 100% of the injuries happen because one guy's going full speed and one guy isn't. Injury. 100% of the time. Unless it's a really big athlete against an inferior athlete, then maybe not. But when somebody gets injured, you can chalk it up to not a fluke injury, Somebody let up and somebody didn't. Tony Romo. This is why I hate the quarterback rule. I can't stand the slide rule. Because you cannot protect the quarterback. A guy in mid-flight isn't Superman. He's not going to be mid-flight and go, whoops, pull up straight up into the air, hover for 5 minutes, and land it on the other side of the quarterback and go, ta-da! Doesn't happen. He's in flight. You're getting killed. Sorry. Tony Romo's injury. He slid feet first. The guy had already been in the process of launching himself. Hit Tony Romo in the back, broke his vertebra. Or part of his back. He walked. He's fine. He's not crippled or he's not a quadriplegic sitting in a wheelchair, fortunately. But he did get injured. I hate the slide rule. Let them play. Let them play. If they get rocked, they get rocked. That's the consequence of running. But you're not protecting anybody. And I cringe at the moment somebody does try to pull up and they put too much pressure and they tear their MC and PCL because they kept their foot down and their body weight took them over the top. Or even worse, they snapped their leg right there at the knee. Because some of these athletes will try to do that to stop. I cringe because it hasn't happened yet, fortunately. But it's only a matter of time. So, I hate the slide rule. Injuries aren't happening because they're playing preseason games. If you want to increase the regular season to 18 games, that's a conversation we can have. It's not something I like. It's not something I agree with. But again, the NFL's done it before. But you know, if you're doing it, tell me, honest to God, somebody needs to tell me, what is the difference? What is the difference if Watson blows his Achilles against somebody in the third preseason game or the first NFL regular season game? Hell, eliminate preseason altogether, and it happened in week 3 of the regular season. What does it do? Doesn't accomplish anything. He's still out for the year with an injury. Everyone still loses. Like, it's a nonsensical argument to me. I like John Harbaugh a lot. I respect John Harbaugh as a coach. Him and his brother Jim. I thought Jim absolutely got the short end of the stick in San Fran. And I'm thankful for it because I hate the Niners. But goodness gracious. Really? Tell you what. Let's see if I'm right. This is fantasy land because no one's going to listen to me. Rip out all the turf. Put in grass across the board. You play in a dome, you do what the Cardinals do. You roll in the grass. Okay? See if that limits your knee injuries. And be honest about it. Does it make a difference? If it doesn't, put turf back in. Steroids? Probably should test a little more seriously. Have a more structured testing policy than telling the athlete when they're going to be tested. Test for different things. Not just your standard. Because it's always evolving. See if that limits concussions. There's no way to know. But again, I made my position very clear on the concussion issue and where I stand and why it's a thing. These are just suggestions. But they are solutions. Solutions. Sadly, that is something lacking in today's world, whether it be political or sports. Really quick, because I'm not going to be able to get to this on time for my show Friday, I'm going to do it now. Carolina at Denver, week 1, Thursday night. Going to be a great game to watch. I'm going to be glued to it for a few reasons. Be curious to see if I'm right. And I want to see Akeem Talib, like I was laughing about before with the Denver Broncos in that whole situation with Cam Newton and Carolina Panthers. It's gonna be a fun game. I'm picking Denver at home. I know Carolina's defense is really good, but I think not having Josh Norman's going to take a hit. And I think Denver's at home. They're really tough to beat historically. So I'm going to go with the safe pick and pick Denver at home. But that's it. That wraps up LA Rams Central, the 19th edition. Big number 20 coming up in, I guess a week from Friday is when I'll post it. This will be posted probably Wednesday, so you guys will have it. And then my next show won't be posted until the following week on Friday as we get into the regular season. And that'll be a bit longer and a bit lengthier of a show. Hope you guys enjoy it.